That is not how I wanted you to find out.
But you did want me to find out?
Since day one, Michael Corinthos has been the family's voice of reason, choosing business suits over mob methods and a steady hand rather than Sonny's wild swings. He has been the voice of reason for the family. On the other hand, General Hospital spoilers indicate that Michael might be in for a significant change of direction in the event that he is unable to keep the woman who is the love of his life, Willow Tate. It is possible that Michael may finally come to terms with the criminal aspect of his family's birthright, which is the Corinthos mob, as a result of this terrible loss. Concerning Willow's health, the family is on the verge of breaking down. The fight against leukemia that Willow is engaged in continues to be one of the most gut-wrenching storyline elements in the history of General Hospital stories. Despite the fact that Willow has received treatment for the condition, which included a bone marrow donation from her birth mother, Nina Reeves, who was only recently located, her health has remained critically unstable. Recent spoilers, on the other hand, suggest that Lucky will have an even more unfortunate turn of events in the future. However, this may not be the case. It would be a devastating blow for Michael to lose Willow, especially considering that he has been her support throughout everything that has happened. Despite the fact that this couple has struggled to keep their relationship going despite having a personal history and a family life that has been fraught with conflict over the years, this incident is the latest need for tragedy. However, it may also prove to be more than that and bring everything that Michael has painstakingly crafted to an end. The point of breakdown for Michael. Michael has spent a significant amount of time vacillating between two different realities. During his childhood, Michael was raised by Sonny Corinthos. However, he never wavered in his determination to do things in his own way, frequently refusing to follow in his father's footsteps and become affiliated with the criminal organization. Nevertheless, Sonny's betrayal of Carly and his partnership with Nina have put a significant dent in the relationship between them over the course of the past 6 months. Willow might be the final straw for you. Michael might easily become a member of the darker side of the Corinthos Empire in order to dominate through his hurt. Grief has a peculiar way of transforming people, and this could happen very simply. The metamorphosis of Michael. A redefining interpretation of grief. Grief is not the cause of heartbreak. Rather, it is the result of rebirth. It is possible that Michael will undergo a dark transformation in his personality as a result of the loss of Willow. This change would bring him closer to the more dangerous part of the Corinthos family. Instead of being the cautious and calculated Michael that fans have come to know, it is possible that he will begin to acquire the characteristics that made Sonny become a man who must be reckoned with in Port Charles. Ruthless calls. Michael may begin to make decisions based on his leadership and power, abandoning his moral compass in an effort to exact revenge and to demonstrate his strength. Michael is emotionally destitute, as he becomes emotionally aloof in order to protect himself from experiencing additional heartbreak. Channeling his frigid side may cause him to become more aggressive. As for the whodunit aspect of Willow's illness, if Michael believes that anyone played a hand in her downfall, whether it was Nina or just one of Sonny's rivals, he may go after revenge with a fervor that even surprises Sonny. This is because Michael believes that anyone played a role in Willow experiencing her illness. Getting back in touch with Sonny. There is a possibility that Michael will return to Sonny as a result of the fact that Willow has lost that tiny item. There is no one who is more familiar with the experience of heartbreak than Sonny. Not even Michael, who despises his father's choices as much as a heart can despise another heart, can even come close to understanding the repercussions of war. The list of loved ones that Kenneth Allen McDuff, has lost as a result of the harsh realities of his life choices go on and on. His son Morgan and his wife Connie are just two examples. Either Michael may channel his suffering via Sonny, or he can, even though their reunion is not likely to occur in the near future. The experience of grief has the power to draw even the most vehement adversaries together and bring them to the same place. It is possible that Sonny will recognize a glimpse of himself in Michael and decide to take him under his wing in order to guide him through the family business. This might pave the way for Michael to become the new leader of the Corinthos family enterprise. How the ripple effect affects Port Charles and its repercussions. The significance of this cannot be overstated. Not only would it alter the circumstances for Michael, but it would also alter the entire city of Port Charles. Carly has been Michael's guardian angel, guiding him toward life without letting him know about the shadows that are hovering from the Corinthos Empire. Carly's heartbreak has been Michael's greatest source of pain. If she were to witness her kid living in a world that she had worked so hard to keep him away from, it could break her. What is even more crucial is that Jocelyn would probably be shocked to learn that her brother would follow in the footsteps of Sonny and become a mob leader himself. This is something that Jocelyn had previously been wary of Sonny for. There is a possibility that it will drive a split between them, putting strain on their bond as siblings, which was previously very close. Felt guilt by Nina. The possibility exists that Nina will be overcome with feelings of guilt if Michael's downward spiral is hastened by the loss of Willow, which ultimately leads to his demise. Without a doubt, her relationship with Willow has been fraught with difficulties, and she may be experiencing feelings of guilt since she did not make sufficient efforts to mend their connection before the opportunity was lost. As a result of the fact that Drew Kane has developed into a kind of big brother to Michael, it is possible that Drew will take action in response to Michael's decision to engage in a risky behavior. On the other hand, Michael is now engaged in a mission, and his newly acquired ruthlessness may render him unfazed by anyone who attempts to bring him back. Is Michael going to come out as a villain? The prospect that Michael will become an unambiguous villain as a result of his evolution is perhaps the most intriguing of all the other possibilities. For a very long time, Michael has been the good son, and the moral counterweight to Sonny's power that is chaotic. On the other hand, grief and fury have the ability to freeze even the most warm-hearted of hearts. It is possible that Michael will begin to make some extremely questionable choices that would cause him to become estranged from his family and friends, as well as steer the Corinthos fortune in a new direction that even Sonny would not follow. And Michael, who is a little bit more icy and a whole lot more cutthroat, could be an incredible asset for Port Charles, both as a change agent and to shake up the power structure in ways that no one anticipates to happen. An anchor in the storm, as Brooke Lynn and Chase put it. There is a possibility that Michael's cousin Brooke Lynn and his closest buddy Chase are the only people who have the potential to bring Michael back from the brink of death. Both have been through their own experiences and have come to the realization that maintaining a level head is essential when confronting challenging situations. Brooke Lynn, in particular, frequently possessed the ability to cut through Michael, bringing him down from his lofty position through the use of humor and the truth. As a result, Chase has the potential to act as a moral compass for Michael and to remind him of the person he was in the past. On the other hand, it is still unknown whether or not they will be able to reach him before it is too late. Are there any signs of hope? Despite the fact that spoilers are obviously not a good sign for Michael, there is still the possibility that he could be redeemed. There is a possibility that if Willow is there in his memory and guiding him, he will be able to remember her without losing himself in the process. It is possible that he may be able to use the Corinthos Empire as a positive force, protecting his family while avoiding all of the brutality that was associated with Sunny's reign. On the other hand, it's possible that he takes solace in the act of returning his gaze to his children and recalling the fact that they require their father to be strong, present, and consistent. Perhaps the love legacy that he and Willow have established together is the only thing that can save him from falling too far into the abyss of darkness. What exactly is going to happen next with Michael Corinthos? During the time that General Hospital is getting ready to reveal these intense stories, Michael is in the midst of one of the most dramatic story arcs that the series has ever explored. Regardless of whether he fully accepts the Corinthos brand or remains staunch in his distinct desire to establish his own identity, his future will definitely be marked by love, loss, and all the decisions that are bound to arise from immeasurable agony. Without a doubt, the loss of Willow would mark a significant turning point for Michael. Will he be able to overcome it, or will it make him more strong than he has ever been? On the other hand, it will be fascinating to observe how this emotional roller coaster ultimately plays out for fans over the next few weeks. Under a stormy sky, the skyline of Port Charles was truly looming as two of the most dangerous men in the town, Jason Morgan and Drew Kane, were getting ready to fight for the very first time. This confrontation had been in the works for years, and it was now about to take place. This was the culmination of a lifetime's worth of obsessive inertia, which was motivated by identity, betrayal, and irreconcilable loyalties of the individual. However, the community that had been accustomed to concealing its fair share of scandals and secrets was about to be confronted with a scandal that none of them had anticipated. The events leading up to the fight. Through the course of several months, Jason and Drew had been circling each other with all of their sexual tension. A past that was rife with conflicting feelings was presented. The icy tough enforcer Jason, who had a solid loyalty that was formed on hellfights, and Drew, who was trying everything in his power to get back his life that had been robbed from him by another person. Despite the fact that they both shared the visage of Helena Cassadine, Constance Towers, who had been buried and had been declared forever dead for a period of time due to an old twisted scheme that had gone wrong, their personalities could not be more different from one another. As a result of a recent betrayal over a potentially hazardous WSB mission, Jason had ultimately reached his breaking point. It was a betrayal, according to Jason, because Drew had concluded that Adam and the others were nothing more than collateral damage in a fiction whose characters he had chosen all by himself. If Drew had believed that they could cause him harm, then they were really his family. Even more distressing was the fact that the repercussions had put Sam McCall, whom they both cared about, in danger. Drew, have you ever taken a moment to pause and reflect before acting? The most recent encounter he had with Jason, in which the latter's piercing blue gaze punctured Drew like a dagger, provided him with more than the right. Jason, do you have the ability to look past Sunny's word? After that, Drew responded, leaving no trace of sarcasm in his comments. This is the fortuitous meeting. It was inevitable that the confrontation would take place at some point, but nobody ever imagined that it would take place on the docks while it was pouring rain. Over the course of his efforts to preserve Sunny Corinthos' empire, Jason had been following a lead on a delivery that was associated with Cyrus Renault. However, Drew had received information to the contrary, stating that the package was in fact of a child that they had stolen and were trafficking. The rain was not successful in calming their tempers when they came into contact with each other. Jason stepped out of the shadows with his rifle pulled and asked, "What are you doing here?" He then asked, "What do you want?" In response, Drew retorted same, while his palms clenched into fists. It is not about Sonny's financial situation. Rather, it is about saving lives. Jason's jaw became more tense. I am not implying that you are not knowledgeable on the subject at hand. I simply wanted to bring it to your attention. Move to the side. But Drew did not agree. The following is a quotation from the author. "I'm not going to let you blow this by not knowing the truth. Take a moment to think outside of Sonny's instructions." Blows in the form of words. In any case, the altercation came to a head when both of the men began making accusations against one another. In response to Drew's assertion that Jason was obediently carrying out Sonny's directives, and, as a result, losing his humanity, Jason exclaimed that Drew was putting everyone in danger by acting in a dangerous and self-centered manner. Jason muttered in a low voice, "Yeah, you always play the hero," referring to an individual. "However, you are nothing more than a perpetrator of chaos in your way." "At least I'm not a puppet for a mob dip," Drew spewed out in a snarl. In his attempt to push Jason out of the way so that he could check on the shipment, Drew went beyond the bounds of acceptable behavior. The battle was ready to begin in a moment, and Jason was there. A hellish confrontation. During his driving, Jason displayed the same level of surgical accuracy that had characterized his fighting game. He had become a lethal weapon on account of the decades he had spent serving as Sonny's enforcer. On the other hand, Drew utilized muscular and military training with his training. The clash of their techniques resulted in a battle that was exceptionally vicious and well-matched. When Jason initially hit, it was a jab that was both firm and direct, and it sent Drew reeling backwards. A furious Drew retaliated by lunging at Jason and bringing him to the ground. He was enraged by this. As the rain continued to pour, the two guys engaged in a valiant struggle in the muck and the meat, but no one was able to hear their groans since the storm was so loud. "You don't seem to understand, do you?" He rolled and flung his arms absent-mindedly. "Your justification is that you believe you are safeguarding individuals, yet all you do is protect Sonny from the repercussions of his unethical behavior." When Drew attempted to strike again, Jason evaded it and then landed a tremendous uppercut, which caused Drew to fall to the ground. "What gives you the idea that you are a savior of some kind? Just as you accuse me of being self-righteous, you are now just as self-righteous too." Jason is able to gain the upper hand. Drew had more raw power and control than Jason had, yet Jason was the real badass in this situation. He avoided Drew's reckless swings and responded with methodical strikes, focusing on weak points and wearing him down in the process. Jason instructed Drew to stay down. Drew, as he had reached his feet with blood streaming from a gash on his forehead. Drew had managed to get to his feet. Despite the fact that Drew was as obstinate as a mule, he did not wait. "Not until you pay attention to what I have to say." After letting out a roar, he swung at Jason, who handled the blow with ease. Drew landed a blow on his ribs, and Jason followed it up with 3 more punches that sent him careening into a stack of crates. Drew went on to land a final kick into the stack of crates. Despite the fact that Drew was holding his side, the fire that was burning in his eyes was still quite powerful. Resulting outcomes. As he stood on the ground, inhaling deeply, Jason towered above Drew. There was a brief moment of hesitation on his part, and it appeared as though he might even leave the room. On the other hand, he fell to his knees and grabbed Drew by the collar. "Are you under the impression that you are the only person who takes delight in engaging in good behavior?" he hissed. "Jason, My entire life, I have done nothing but conceal the identity of the person I love. Do you have the audacity to challenge my commitment or the decisions that I have made?" A look of wounded challenge appeared on Drew's face as he stared up at him. "You are going to figure it out on your own. In addition, I have battled my entire life for a family that I have never been a part of. This is not a monopoly on the moral high ground, Jason. You are not the only one." In the distance, the sound of sirens was heard, which served to break the tension that had been building up. Both of the men were aware that neither could afford to be discovered. After releasing Drew, Jason stood up and extended his hand to him. He spoke out in a stern tone. "Get up. This is not the place where we have unfinished business." After a brief pause, Stephen reached out and grabbed Jason's arm. Exactly what does the future hold for Jason and Drew? The underlying problems that Jason and Drew have with one another will not be resolved even if the fight is finished. The confrontation that took place on the docks was more than just a physical altercation. It was the culmination of years of bitterness, guilt, and split loyalties between the two parties. This put Jason in a position where he had to examine his role in Sonny's world and the consequences that came along with it. For Drew, it served as a reminder of everything he had lost, as well as the never-ending struggle to be himself. With the rain falling and the blood and muck being washed away, it became abundantly evident that there would be a fresh start. Nonetheless, only a single piece of this convoluted relationship was considered to be history. If they will be able to set aside their disagreements and work together, or if they will continue to argue with one another, is still a question mark. Nonetheless, regardless of the outcome, the people who live in Port Charles will never be able to change in the same way again. As a result of their confrontation, it alienated fans of both of them. Others applauded for Jason and praised his strategy and loyalty, but I found the loyalty to be completely incomprehensible from my perspective. He was praised for his unwavering dedication to sticking up for what he believes in, and other people supported him. What better way to stoke the flames of their feud than by having an explosive fight between the two of them, which will undoubtedly come full circle, thereby laying the groundwork for all of the drama that will occur in the future. This particular plotline was not going anywhere.
What am I supposed to tell everyone? Sonny? Michael, your mother?
When General Hospital was finally able to offer viewers the moment they had been waiting for, the homecoming of Lulu Spencer back to Port Charles, there were many storylines that provided excitement to fans. This was the moment that fans had been waiting for. After being shot in the head while leaving a sexy nightclub and collapsing down some cement while under the influence of alcohol, excuse me, alright? We waited with great expectation for Lulu to emerge from the fog of her coma for a number of years. Fans are ecstatic about the fact that the well-known soap opera veteran is now portraying the character of Babe, which is even more significant because it is her longest-running role of all time. Since the casting of Havens, there has been a substantial amount of conjecture over the manner in which Lulu will perform her homecoming. Would she be able to recall the time when she awoke? Do you know what the consequences would be for Dante Falconeri, Maxie Jones, and her children if she arrived back? Despite the fact that Havens was playing the role of Lulu, her debut appearance did not fail to deliver. It was filled with drama, heartache, and some emotional reunions, which had fans wanting the next chapters as soon as possible. A new appearance, but a heart that is already familiar. When Alexa Havens was cast in the role of Babe Carey on All My Children, she received a lot of positive feedback, so she is not exactly a stranger to the world of soap operas. Due to the fact that she demonstrated both vulnerability and strength in a natural way, she was the right candidate to bring Lulu back to life. Having a persona and a legacy that are as well-traveled as Spencer's is no easy achievement. But Havens managed to make the role his own, giving it the appropriate degree of notoriety without being overdone. Havens expressed her delight about joining General Hospital in an exclusive interview with Soaps.com, saying things like, "As a micro-hero, Lulu is such an amazing character with so many layers to her and history. This character is being marketed to consumers. I am incredibly grateful to be given this opportunity to work with such an incredible group of people. A lot of people have shown their support for Lulu, and I can't wait to find out what she does next." Lulu's Awakening, a dramatic episode. This well-known medical center was the setting for the beginning of the drama. Throughout the course of her treatment, Lulu had been receiving care. The clinic called Laura Collins, who was a member of the Jenny Francis family, and informed her that Lulu was beginning to exhibit some signs of life. When things appeared to be in a critical state, Laura was right there with her daughter, and the feeling that accompanied that time weighed heavily on the atmosphere. The voice of Laura was filled with emotion, and as Lulu opened her eyes, she said, "Hello, my name is Lulu. This is Mom. That you are awake." During her first performance, Havens was very captivating. I was a puddle when I saw her portray Lulu waking up groggy, but intuitively heading to Laura. Her performance was perfect. Although it was hundreds of kilometers away, there was no wellspring that was too deep. It was almost as if it was a reflection of the interaction that exists between a mother and her daughter. Reunions and tension in dance poetry. Like wildfire, the news of Lulu's comeback spread throughout the city of Port Charles. One of the first individuals on the list, her ex-husband Dante, was one of the first people to hear the news. From the minute he entered her hospital room, it was an electrifying experience that was filled with feelings of happiness, guilt, and other emotions. During the brief gap that followed, Dante's voice was barely audible above a whisper. To quote Lulu, "I just can't believe it." The reaction that Lulu had was also one that was really intense. Her affection for Dante was clear, but so was the anguish she felt over the passage of time. The moment her gaze wandered to his hand and the ring that was on his finger, a fleeting shock of melancholy appeared on her face. "There is a great deal that I have neglected." Lulu uttered the words while trembling. "Please tell me, are you content?" In addition to feelings that were not yet peaceful enough to leave their vessels, there was a question that was not being asked, but was lingering in the air. This was an outstanding piece of scene work from Havens, which conveyed not only Lulu's resilience, but also her grief. "Congratulations!" Moreover, Dante's response, which was trembling, gave the impression that those beds of flowers might be accompanied by a path that is treacherous. Happiness and guilt for Maxie. Next, Maxie Jones, played by Kristen Storms, arrived for yet another sad reunion with Lulu, who was her best friend. Maxie was overjoyed to learn that Lulu was awake. At the same time, she shared with Lulu that the fact that she is making so much progress in her life, while Lulu is still in a coma, caused her to feel terrible. Maxie burst into tears as she hurried inside the room. "Lulu, you have done so. I've been thinking about you a lot." Despite her weariness and love, Lulu managed to muster a feeble smile. "It was the same way with me, Maxie. You must tell me everything." The burden of time, on the other hand, became more difficult to bear after Maxie began sharing the stories. Following the death of Nathan, Maxie's life underwent a transformation as she fell in love with Austin. Although she paid closely, Lulu could only feel a sense of loss, a whirlwind of melancholy, and a confused indignation at the magnitude of the changes that had taken place in those lives. the Spencers are presented with an updated challenge. On the other hand, the Spencer family will face difficulties as a result of Lulu's return. It is still believed that her father, Luke, has passed away, and it has been difficult to locate her younger brother, Lucky, for the past few years. Bringing the family back together, sparks flying as Lulu returns, and all those who have been caught up in the rift between Laura and Lulu getting hurt along with it, are the things that Laura hopes to accomplish. While having an open and honest conversation with Kevin Collins, Laura revealed her thoughts on the future. Although it is a remarkable piece of news to learn that Lulu has returned, it also brings to mind everything that we have lost. Because of her and for all of us, I need to put this family back together, and you are all going to have to assist me in doing so. Issues that remain unresolved. The fact that Lulu has returned is certainly cause for celebration, but it also brings up a number of questions that need to be answered. Firstly, what kind of relationship will she have with her children when she has them? On the other hand, here she was, back in the world, transformed into a ghost among the living. How could that possibly be possible? And maybe much more intriguing is the question of whether or not there are any mysteries that remain concerning the event that caused her to enter a coma. Consequently, this suggests that her return might be tied to the larger Cassadine/Victor narrative altogether. In spite of the fact that many people in Port Charles are ecstatic, it is difficult to think that Lulu's awakening will be as straightforward as it may be, given that Helena is still hovering over her like a dark cloud. The appearance of Alexa Havens is imminent. Havens' debut has been met with a lot of positive feedback from fans. On social media, she received a lot of appreciation for her performance and the way that she channeled Lulu while still putting her own spin on the character along the course of the performance. A statement that said, "Alexa Havens is Lulu," had to be issued, but first we wanted to make sure that nobody heard us squeal. You like her warmth and strength, which are characteristics that we adore in the person who tweeted this. The tweet may contain content that is considered sensitive. I was just crying with that scene between Laura and Lulu, remarked another of the people who were present. Jenny Francis and Alexa Havens are already a formidable force to be reckoned with. Where does Lulu go from here? Lulu's return to General Hospital will definitely prove to be the catalyst for such a shake-up in the organization. It sounds like this is going to be one of the most exciting storylines that will be available this year. Whether it be old relationships that are maybe being rekindled, or new partnerships being made, or even long-held dark secrets that are finally being revealed. For Alexa Havens, the moment she takes a glimpse inside Lulu's life is just the beginning of what will be an experience she will never forget. In the year 2023, the viewership has a long history of identifying with the character in precisely that kind of determination and perseverance, which will also be on display as she navigates the complex nature of her relationships and her thoughts. The proverb that is attributed to Laura Collins states, "Lulu's back, and there will be a permanent shift in everything." As the controversy surrounding Lulu continues to unfold at Port Charles, there is one thing that we are aware of. Given that this is the first time we have heard of Alexa Havens appearing anywhere else other as the longtime face of a legendary character, we can only hope that fans are excited to see what comes next.